Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every life when the pattern we've been living becomes the prison we never saw being built. A cycle of doubt, of fear, of failure, repeating itself again and again until we begin to believe that this is all life has to offer. But I am here to tell you today that belief is a lie, a dangerous illusion. Break the cycle before it breaks you. That's not just a phrase, it's a call to arms. Because life will not wait, success will not chase you. And mediocrity, it will gladly become your master if you don't stand up and take control. You were not born to be trapped. You were born to think, to believe, to act with purpose. Today, we will uncover the power that lies dormant within you, the power to break generational curses, to shatter limitations, and to build a life designed by vision, not by circumstance. Absolutely, here's an expanded version of Keynote No. 1. Recognize the pattern that's holding you back in the style of Napoleon Hill with powerful language and a motivational tone. The first step toward freedom, toward progress, toward any meaningful success in life is this. You must recognize the pattern that's holding you back. You must see it clearly because until you identify the invisible chains, you will never break free from them. Most people live their entire lives imprisoned by patterns they never bothered to study. They go to the same job, have the same arguments, chase the same distractions, fall into the same emotional traps, and they call it normal. They call it life. But what it really is a loop, uh, cycle. A repetitive program running silently in the background, dictating outcomes without conscious permission. This pattern may come from childhood. It may be inherited from generations of people who never knew any better. It may have been forged through trauma, disappointment, fear of failure, or fear of success. It may show up in your relationships, your finances, your self-image. It may sound like, I'm not good enough, or people always leave me, or success is for them, not for me. These thoughts repeated often enough become beliefs, and beliefs once formed become blueprints for action. You will never rise above the pattern you refuse to confront. So how do you recognize it? You become a student of your own results. Look at your life, not how you wish it were, but how it is. Look at the outcomes, the behaviors, the reactions that keep repeating themselves. Look at the pain points. Where do you feel stuck? Where do you keep hitting walls? That's where the pattern lives. That's where the work begins. You must study your setbacks with the same energy you study your goals, because every setback has a root. And if you follow that root deep enough, you will find the pattern that keeps you bound. Think back to your last 3 failures. Were they truly random? Or did they all have something in common? A mindset, a fear, a decision made in haste or hesitation. That common thread is not coincidence. It is instruction. It is revelation. The pattern shows itself in cycles. Cycles of starting strong and quitting early. Cycles of trusting the wrong people. No. Cycles of underestimating your worth. Cycles of procrastination, overthinking, addiction to distraction, or settling for less than you know you deserve. Many people repeat these cycles not because they want to, but because they're familiar, because familiarity feels safer than the unknown. But let me ask you, has that safety ever brought you joy? Has that comfort ever delivered peace? No, it only sedated the pain. And pain that is not faced will find a way to repeat itself until you pay attention. You must become alert, conscious, aware. You must stop sleepwalking through life and open your eyes to the self-sabotage that's hiding in plain sight. Recognition is power. Once you see the pattern, it cannot control you the same way. It begins to lose its grip. But you must be honest. You must strip away the ego that says, I already know, and adopt the humility that says, I'm ready to see. This is not about blame. It's about awareness. It's about waking up to the role you play in your own story. Because if you don't own your pattern will own you. And here's the truth that many won't tell you. Breaking a pattern isn't comfortable. It's not glamorous. It requires facing things you've ignored. It requires questioning long-held beliefs. It requires going to the root, digging up the soil of your identity and replanting with intention. But that discomfort is the price of liberation, and liberation is worth the cost. You are not doomed to repeat your past. You are not destined to live in loops, but you must become a pattern breaker, a cycle cutter, a conscious architect of your life. No one else can do that for you. Not your parents, not your partner, not your boss or your mentor or your friend. This is your responsibility, your awareness, your breakthrough. You've been here before. You've seen this movie. You know how it ends if nothing changes. But this time can be different, not because the world outside of you changes, but because the eyes inside of you open. Take responsibility for your reactions and results. That is the second principle, and perhaps one of the most confronting truths you'll ever have to face on your journey to personal greatness. But make no mistake, until you do, everything in your life will remain at the mercy of excuses, of circumstance, of someone else's choices. And nothing, absolutely nothing, can grow in a mindset that refuses ownership. You see, the vast majority of people go through life pointing fingers at their past, their parents, their environment, their government, their boss, their partner, their bad luck, their upbringing. And the moment you point that finger outward, you give away your power. You surrender your authority to shape your life. Because whatever you blame, you assign control to. And if something else has control, you have none. Responsibility is not about guilt. It's not about beating yourself up for the things that have gone wrong. It's about taking back your power to influence what comes next. When you take responsibility, you're saying, I may not have chosen what happened to me, but I do choose what I do with it. That is strength. That is freedom. That is where transformation begins. Because the only thing more powerful than what happens to you is how you respond to it. Every reaction you have, whether it's anger, fear, defensiveness, jealousy, procrastination, or even apathy, comes from a belief you've accepted. And those reactions, when repeated, become your reputation. They become your habits. They become your results. If you don't like your results, don't just change your actions, examine your reactions. Ask yourself, well, why do I respond this way? Where did that come from? Is this behavior serving my future or sabotaging it? Those questions are uncomfortable, but they are necessary. They put you in the driver's seat of your destiny. The truth is, life doesn't just test you with big moments. It tests you in the everyday, in how you speak to yourself when you fail, in how you treat others when you're under pressure, in how you show up when no one is watching. And in every one of those moments, you are writing the story of who you are becoming. You are either reacting from the patterns of the past or responding with the intention of your future. There is no neutral ground. Responsibility is not passive. It is an active decision to stop being a victim of your own life. It is the mental discipline to say, I own this, even when it's painful, even when it's messy, even when you could easily justify blaming someone else. That's where leaders are born. That's where champions are made. Not in the spotlight, but in the dark moments when no applause is coming. And you still choose growth. When you begin to take responsibility, you stop repeating cycles because suddenly the lessons that used to slip by become crystal clear. You recognize the consequences of your choices, and instead of denying them, you learn from them. And learning from them means you start choosing differently. You start responding instead of reacting. You begin to act in alignment with the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. Look around at your life. The relationships, the career, the finances, the health, the mindset, every area of it is reflecting something you've chosen, permitted, or tolerated. That's a hard truth, but an empowering one, because it means you are not helpless. You are not trapped. You are capable of massive change if you're willing to stop outsourcing responsibility and start taking full command of your inner world. It is easy to take credit for the good things, but the game changes when you're willing to take ownership of the hard things too. That's the difference between surface level change and deep transformation. That's the difference between living a life by design or a life by default. The external world will always throw challenges at you. It will always present problems, obstacles, disappointments, disappointments. But none of those things define you. What defines you is how you respond. What defines you is what you choose to do next. Responsibility is the bridge between intention and action, between goals and results, between dreams and reality. If you don't cross that bridge, nothing moves. Everything stays the same thoughts, the same excuses, the same patterns, the same results. But once you accept responsibility for every reaction and every outcome, you become unstoppable because now you're no longer waiting for things to change. You are the one changing them. Disrupting your comfort is the catalyst for real transformation. Most people live their lives in a state of predictable routine, moving through their days with a sense of security, even if that security comes at the cost of their potential. They settle into patterns that feel safe, but safety often becomes the enemy of progress. Comfort is an illusion that convinces you that where you are right now is enough, when deep down you know it isn't. You know there is more to life, but you're reluctant to move beyond the boundaries you've set for yourself. The truth is, nothing extraordinary ever happens in the comfort zone. Change, growth, and success require discomfort. They require you to step outside of familiar territories, to face the unknown, and to challenge the very fears and doubts that hold you back. Oh, it is only by disrupting your comfort that you create the space for greatness to enter. And yet, this is one of the hardest things for most people to do. It's not easy to break free from the patterns that have defined you, especially when they've been with you for so long. It's much easier to stay where things are predictable, where the stakes feel low, even if it means never reaching the heights you're capable of. But the truth remains, growth is never easy. It doesn't come wrapped in comfort or in familiar surroundings. It comes when you are willing to challenge yourself, to face the discomfort head on, and to persist despite the fear, the resistance, and the uncertainty. Discomfort is a signal that you are growing. It is the universe's way of telling you you are on the brink of something new. If you can embrace that discomfort, you can move past the barriers that have been holding you back. Imagine for a moment how many times you've held yourself back from taking bold action because it felt too uncomfortable. How many opportunities have you passed up because you were afraid of the unknown? How many times have you convinced yourself that it wasn't the right time or that you weren't ready? These are the lies comfort tells you, lies that keep you trapped in a cycle of inaction and regret. The truth is, you will never feel fully ready. The perfect time will never arrive. And waiting for things to feel right will only delay your progress. The longer you stay in that comfortable state of waiting, the further you drift from the life you truly desire. Think about the people who have achieved great things throughout history. They didn't wait for the stars to align or for everything to be in perfect harmony. They acted when they were uncertain. They took risks when they didn't know what the outcome would be. And they moved forward despite the discomfort. They understood that growth is a product of struggle, not ease. The people who rise above the average are those who are willing to put themselves in the fire, to face challenges, to test their limits, and to rise from each failure stronger than before. What does this look like in your own life? It means that when you feel the fear of taking a new step, you don't let it paralyze you. You use it as fuel to move forward. It means when you are faced with the unknown, you don't retreat into what's familiar. You step boldly into that unknown, trusting that the process will reveal itself as you go. It means that when you hit a wall, instead of turning around, you find a way to climb over it or break through it. The goal isn't to avoid discomfort. It's to use discomfort as a stepping stone, to make it your ally in your pursuit of personal growth and achievement. Disrupting your comfort also means challenging your beliefs. It means questioning the stories you've been telling yourself for years. I'm not good enough. Just how I am. These beliefs are the invisible walls you've built around yourself. And the only way to break through them is to face the discomfort that comes with change. To stretch your mind, to expand your capacity, and to push beyond what you've always thought possible. Every time you challenge those limiting beliefs, you break down the barriers that keep you stuck. And every time you disrupt your comfort, you take one step closer to becoming the person you were truly meant to be. It's also important to recognize that discomfort is a temporary feeling. While comfort feels safe, it is a false sense of security that often traps you in mediocrity. Discomfort, on the other hand, is a sign that you are pushing your boundaries. And the more you embrace it, the stronger you become, the more confident you feel, and the closer you get to your true potential. The discomfort of change, of growth, and of progress is fleeting, but the rewards of moving through that discomfort are everlasting. To disrupt your comfort, you need to take consistent, intentional action. It doesn't have to be massive steps, but each small decision to push through the discomfort, whether it's taking on a new challenge, having a difficult conversation, or trying something you've never done before, moves you forward. These moments of discomfort add up over time, and they create a life that is richer, fuller, and more meaningful than the one you'd live if you stay safely within the confines of your comfort zone. The decision is yours. Will you choose the easy path of comfort, or will you disrupt the pattern and walk the path of growth? Rewiring your mindset through purposeful thinking is one of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal. Your thoughts are not just fleeting moments. They shape your reality. They are the blueprint for everything you experience. Everything you see, feel, or achieve begins as a thought. That's why it's critical to understand that your mindset is not fixed. It is not predetermined. It is malleable and it can be intentionally transformed. But this transformation requires conscious effort. It requires you to recognize that the mind left unchecked will often default to negativity, limitation, and self doubt. And this is where most people falter. They allow their minds to follow habitual patterns, to stick to familiar thoughts that have been ingrained over years, often by external influences like society, family, or past experiences. These thoughts, however, are not facts. They are beliefs, and beliefs are not permanent. The way you think will dictate the way you act. If you think you're not capable, you won't try. If you believe success is for someone else, you'll hold back. If you're consumed by fear of failure, you'll avoid taking risks altogether. Every decision, every action, and every result in your life is a reflection of your inner narrative. That's the reason why so many people feel stuck in life. They fail to see the power they have to change their inner dialogue. They don't realize that their current situation is not a reflection of their worth or abilities, but simply a reflection of the thoughts they've been nurturing. So, how do you rewire this? The first step is awareness. You have to become the observer of your own thoughts. You must learn to listen to the stories you tell yourself every day. Notice the language you use when you talk about your goals, your dreams, or your challenges. How often do you say things like, I can't, I'm not good enough, or I don't have what it takes? These phrases are not just words. They are reinforcing the belief that you are limited. They are affirmations of your current reality, but they don't have to stay that way. If you can catch yourself in those moments and interrupt those thought patterns, you can begin the process of rewiring. Once you become aware of your limiting thoughts, you can replace them with thoughts that are aligned with your purpose and potential. You don't have to wait for motivation to strike you like lightning. Motivation often follows action. So, start with small shifts in your thinking. Instead of saying, I can't do this, say, I haven't done this yet, but I will. Instead of saying, this is too difficult, say, I'm capable of overcoming this challenge. Instead of doubting your worth, affirm your value and your abilities. Yet, rewiring your mindset is not about positive thinking for the sake of positivity. It's about empowering yourself to face challenges with the confidence that you have the tools to navigate them. It's about shifting from a fixed mindset where you believe your abilities are a static fact to a growth mindset where you believe your abilities can expand with effort, learning, and persistence. But rewiring isn't just about changing what you think. It's about changing how you think. It's about adopting a mindset of possibility instead of limitation. It's about focusing on what you can control instead of what's out of your reach. It's about looking at challenges as opportunities, not obstacles. Every setback, every failure, every moment of frustration becomes a lesson, a stepping stone, not a dead end. The way you choose to interpret your experiences will either empower you or hold you back. If you see every challenge as an insurmountable problem, you will stay stuck. But if you see it as a chance to grow, to evolve, to become better, you will find solutions that weren't visible before. Purposeful thinking requires intentionality. It's not enough to simply hope for a change or wish for a different outcome. It requires you to actively reshape the lens through which you view the world. You need to ask yourself empowering questions like, oh, what can I learn from this situation? And I grow through this challenge. And what's the next step I can take to move forward? These questions redirect your focus from the problem to the solution, from helplessness to empowerment. They shift you from the mentality of I can't see how can to how can I. One of the most important aspects of rewiring your mindset is the ability to stay consistent. Change doesn't happen overnight. It requires continuous practice and reinforcement. Every day you must make the conscious decision to think differently. Every day you must take action that aligns with your new mindset. Over time, these small changes will compound, and your thinking will shift from a mindset of scarcity and limitation to one of abundance and possibility. But this requires patience and persistence. Don't expect instant results. Don't expect everything to fall into place at once. Trust the process. Trust the process. Trust that with each positive thought, each new belief, and each small action, you are creating a new reality. And as you rewire your mindset, you'll begin to notice profound changes in your life. You'll find that opportunities that once seemed out of reach are now within your grasp. You'll find that your relationships improve, your career progresses, and your overall sense of self-worth rises. The power to change your life is not outside of you. It is within you. It begins with the way you think. And once you take control of your thoughts, you take control of your destiny. Surrounding yourself with growth-minded influences is one of the most essential decisions you can make on your path to success. The people you spend time with, the environments you immerse yourself in, and the voices you listen to shape who you become. This is not just about who you associate with, but about the energy and mindset they bring into your life. The individuals you allow to influence you will either inspire you to grow, challenge you to rise above your limitations, or pull you deeper into mediocrity. It is crucial to understand that who you surround yourself with directly impacts your progress, your thinking, and your ability to achieve your highest potential. Think about the people in your life right now. How do they make you feel? Do they encourage you to be your best self, or do they drain you of energy and possibility? Do they uplift your dreams, or do they remind you of why something won't work? There's a powerful law at play here, the law of association. You are the sum of the people you spend the most time with. Whether it's the colleagues you work with, the friends you hang out with, or the voices you follow online, their energy, attitudes, and beliefs will either elevate or limit your own. If you are surrounded by people who are stuck in their own limited beliefs, who are pessimistic, who are satisfied with complacency, then that is the mindset you will inevitably absorb. The influence is subtle but undeniable, and it happens gradually, but just as powerful as the reverse. If you are around individuals who are ambitious, motivated, and growth-focused, that energy will permeate your own actions. This doesn't mean you should cut ties with everyone who isn't where you want to be. But it does mean that you need to be intentional about who you allow to influence you on a daily basis. You need to make a conscious decision to seek out individuals who challenge you, who push you, who encourage you to think bigger, to dream higher, and to act more boldly. This is not about surrounding yourself with a yes people or those who only agree with you. It's about surrounding yourself with people who will ask the hard questions, who will force you to confront your limitations and break through them, who will support you when you need encouragement and challenge you when you need to grow. Growth-minded influences are individuals who have an abundance mindset. They believe in the possibility of success, and they believe that success is not a zero-sum game. When you are around people who think in terms of collaboration, opportunity, and constant improvement, your own thinking will naturally shift. These are the people who see challenges as stepping stones, failures as lessons, and setbacks as opportunities to learn and improve. They don't allow their circumstances to dictate their mindset. Instead, they control their mindset and adapt their circumstances to align with their goals. The conversations you have with these people will be centered on ideas, solutions, and progress, not complaints, excuses, or negativity. Their perspective will expand your own, and their belief in your potential will push you to believe in yourself. And it's not just about the people you interact with in person. In today's world, you have access to a wealth of knowledge and inspiration online. The books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the videos you watch, all of these are forms of influence that can either elevate or limit your growth. Limiting or filled with negativity, then that will seep into your thoughts and actions. But if you choose to invest in content that challenges your thinking, pushes you to grow, and equips you with the tools to succeed, your mindset will shift accordingly. The information you expose yourself to is just as critical as the people you surround yourself with. It's important to realize that growth-minded influences don't just impact you intellectually, they affect your emotions, your behavior, and even your actions. When you are in an environment that encourages growth, you begin to act differently. You take more risks. You pursue opportunities that you would have once dismissed as too difficult or out of reach. Being around the right people and the right resources shifts your perception of what's possible, and it drives you to take action. This doesn't mean you should rely on others for motivation. The power to take action ultimately comes from within you, but the environment and people around you can be a catalyst for that internal drive. Just as the right fire can ignite a spark, the right influences can fuel your desire to achieve your goals. But remember, this process requires intentionality. It's not about waiting for the right people to show up in your life. It's about actively seeking them out. It's about choosing to distance yourself from toxic influences and deliberately placing yourself in environments that encourage your growth and expansion. If you surround yourself with individuals who inspire and challenge you, you will begin to see growth not only in your career, but in your relationships, your health, and your overall fulfillment. Surround yourself with growth minded people, and you'll find that you are capable of achieving far more than you ever thought possible. The right influences have the power to amplify your potential and to propel you toward the life you were always meant to live. The choice is yours. Will you allow the environment to shape you, or will you shape the environment to elevate? Mastering your habits is one of the most powerful ways to break free from the cycles that limit your potential. Habits are the invisible forces that shape your daily life, and whether you realize it or not, they dictate your results. Your habits are the small, consistent actions you take every single day, and over time, they compound to create the reality you live in. The question is not whether you have habits, but whether those habits are helping or hindering your progress. If you want to change the trajectory of your life, you must first change the habits that are currently driving you. Most people don't realize the immense power that habits have in their lives. They operate on autopilot, going through the motions, repeating the same actions without thinking about the long term impact. These habits often come from years of conditioning, behaviors learned from family, society, or even personal experiences. Some of these habits serve you, helping you build discipline, resilience, and focus. Others, however, work against you. They might be habits of procrastination, self doubt, or even negative self talk. These detrimental habits create a cycle that can be difficult to break, but with intentionality, it is possible to replace them with habits that align with the person you want to become. The first step to mastering your habits is awareness. You need to look at your current daily routines and identify which habits are serving you and which ones are holding you back. What do you do first thing in the morning? What do you do before you go to bed? How do you spend your time in between? Your daily habits are a reflection of your values and priorities, so it's important to ask yourself whether those habits are aligned with your long term goals. Are you spending time on things that contribute to your growth? Or are you wasting time on distractions, negative thinking, or unhealthy patterns? The next step is to create new habits that will move you toward your desired future. Habits don't form overnight. It takes consistent effort and patience to build new ones, but the process is well worth it. Start small. Pick one habit that you know will have the greatest impact on your life and begin incorporating it into your daily routine. Maybe it's waking up earlier to invest time in your personal development. Maybe it's cutting out time wasting activities like excessive social media scrolling and replacing that time with focused work on your goals. Perhaps it's starting your day with gratitude or meditation to set a positive tone for the rest of the day. Whatever habit you choose, make sure it is realistic and sustainable. The key is consistency. Once you've established a new habit, don't stop there. Continuously challenge yourself to improve. The goal is not perfection, but progress. When you make progress, your confidence grows, and with each small win, you build momentum. You start to see that you are capable of more than you initially thought, and this belief in yourself fuels further progress. The beauty of building strong habits is that they create a foundation for other positive behaviors to emerge. One habit can lead to another, and soon your life begins to reflect the person you are striving to become. One of the most powerful tools for habit mastery is tracking your progress. Whether it's through journaling, using a habit tracking app, or simply marking off a calendar, tracking gives you visibility into how consistent you've been and reinforces the importance of sticking with your new habits. Seeing the progress you've made can provide the motivation you need to keep going, especially when you face setbacks or challenges. It's also important to celebrate your wins, no matter how small they seem. Acknowledge the effort you're putting in and recognize how far you've come. Another key to mastering habits is creating an environment that supports your success. Your surroundings have a profound influence on your ability to maintain good habits. If you're trying to exercise more, but your gym is out of the way and you have no workout gear, you'll find it much harder to stay committed. But if you make it easy by setting out your workout clothes the night before and finding a gym or workout space that's convenient, you're setting yourself up for success. The same goes for other habits, whether it's healthy eating, studying, or personal growth. Only you need to remove distractions and create systems that make it easier to stick to the positive habits you're trying to cultivate. There will be times when you face setbacks, and this is a natural part of the process. You may slip back into old habits, or life might throw challenges your way that disrupt your routine. This is not a failure, it's simply a part of the journey. The key is not to let setbacks derail your progress entirely. When you fall off track, recognize it, learn from it, and get back on course as quickly as possible. The most successful people are not those who never face setbacks. They are the ones who persist through them, who see every challenge as an opportunity to learn, and who continue building on their habits with renewed determination. Mastering your habits is also about understanding the impact of your mindset. Your mindset is the foundation upon which your habits are built. If you don't believe in your ability to change, or if you don't believe you deserve success, your habits will reflect those limiting beliefs. But when you cultivate a growth mindset, one that believes in the power of change, consistency, and effort, you give yourself the best possible chance to succeed. Your mindset will fuel your commitment to your habits, and over time, your habits will shape your life in ways you may not have even imagined possible. Habits are the secret behind lasting change. They are the key to breaking the cycles that hold you back and building a future you are proud of. Huh? The power is in your hands. The only question is, what kind of habits are you willing to commit to today that will shape the life you want tomorrow?